Hi, I'm Dave Frisch. We're here at the United States Air Force Academy today to talk about officiating mechanics. One of the things that coaches complain about a lot while you're officiating is that officials are in the wrong place and that they sometimes don't see the action that's taking place that they really should be seeing. Well, that's a legitimate argument on the part of the coaches. And one of the things that as officials we need to do is we need to make sure that the things that we do put us in the right places at the right time to score the points that have actually been scored by the wrestlers. The most important thing you can know as an official is the rules. After that, I think mechanics are the second most important thing. Why are officiating mechanics important? Because mechanics can make a good official a great official. Before I start talking about the actual things that you can do in the mat, I want to talk about you as the official and how you should look on the mat. First thing is your appearance, your personal grooming. You want to look good. You want to have a clean haircut. If you wear a beard, you want to have that neatly trimmed. And so you want to look good and have a good appearance on the mat. The next thing is your uniform. Your uniform should be clean, appear somewhat new, but have it clean, and you should be looking sharp out on the mat. The next thing would be your officiating gear. Make sure that you have at least nice looking armbands. They shouldn't be old and grungy looking and dirty, sweaty from the prior tournaments you've worked on. Make sure that you have a good flip disc. It's not just a coin that you use where you're flipping heads and tails and it rolls off the mat. And you also want to have a good whistle. And the whistle is really important. It's probably the most important piece of your officiating gear. A lot of you have probably used an old pea whistle that when you blow it, all of a sudden the pea gets locked up in there and you have this funny little sound and no one can hear it. When you're officiating, I hope that everyone in that gym can hear your whistle. You want to have a nice sharp whistle sound so that when you start a match or stop a match, not only do the wrestlers hear it and the coaches hear it, but all of the spectators in that arena hear it. Your mat presence. You want to look like you belong out there. Don't look like someone that has never been on a wrestling mat before. Make sure that you move with the action and you appear to have a handle on what is going on that mat. The next thing that I want you to do is to be one step ahead of everyone. How can you do that? There's four things that you really can do. You might think of more, but one of the things is when you walk into a gym and you go into the facility, you want to make sure that you identify the official scales. You want to identify the official weigh-in area. You will also want to identify who is the team physician or the team doctor that you're going to be utilizing for that meet or tournament. As the wrestlers come to the scorer's table, you as the official, don't just wait out in the center of the mat waiting for the wrestlers to come. Move over to the table, and before that wrestler comes to the table to check in, look at him and say, are you the 140-pounder? Are you the 135-pounder? Make sure that you have the right wrestlers coming to the table so you don't have an incorrect wrestler showing up, reporting in, and causing problems during the dual meet or the tournament. Heading off problems makes you look like a pro when you're on the mat. So be one step ahead of everybody, take care of those issues and take care of those problems before the tournament or the dual meet starts. Now we're going to get into the match, and I'm going to have Jerry here help me, and I'm going to have Dusty help me, a couple of wrestlers that are well known in their weight classes. And so they're going to help me demonstrate some of the things that I want to show that you can do to help you make a better official. We're going to start with a neutral position. So in the neutral position, I want to be between these wrestlers. I don't want to be back out away from them. I want to be right here between them. We're going to have a good, clean handshake. I don't want to have any contact between the wrestlers. And when you start this match, remember, there's some people that are going to be watching from the table that want to know when this match is starting. So I'm going to get between them, no contact. Action starts. They're moving, and I want to stay out here away from them, moving back away from them so I don't get in their way. Here's one of the things that you don't want to do in this situation. Remember, we want to get between these guys, no contact. I'm going to blow the whistle, and don't let this happen to you. Has that ever happened to you where the action comes at you and you haven't gotten back out of the way. That's why it's really important for you, when you blow that whistle, get back to the outside and stay in that outside circle and let the action happen and you be out of their way. Next thing you can do as a referee, and this is one of the most important things you can do, is to make sure in your officiating mechanics that you hustle, hustle, hustle. Those three things will help you be a better official. In fact, from my perspective, hustle on the mat is the most important thing you can do. I'm going to start these guys. I'm going to show you how I feel positioning between the wrestlers will help you be a better official. As they're moving, I want to stay perpendicular to the action. And I even want to move out here towards the edge of this circle and stay out here. So as they move, you move with the action. You don't have to be right next to them. Stay out away from them. If they circle that way, you get out here so you can see right between them. Why is it important for me to stay perpendicular to these two wrestlers? If they're in here wrestling like this, I can see what they're doing if I'm right here. If I'm back here and Dusty decides he wants to headbutt Jerry, I can't see that. I need to be standing perpendicular to him so I can see all the action right here, what's happening with the hands, that kind of thing. Here's another really important part about your officiating mechanics that you need to remember. When action takes place, make sure you're in the right position. Okay. As you can see, I was in the wrong position. If you're in the wrong position, not only will you know it, but everyone else in the gym will know it. And you can see that because I was over here, the action went this way, I missed back points, or I would have missed back points if they would have came right back out of it. I also want to emphasize a couple other things, and I'm going to demonstrate a couple of bad things that you don't want to do, and then something good that you do want to do. Don't let this happen to you. Sometimes seasoned officials do this. The action goes ahead. Come on in, guys. That's a bad habit to get into. Have the action go out of the circle, and you as the official are standing here in the middle. What you turn into is a traffic cop. You need to be out there on the edge of this mat with those guys. Another thing that I don't want you to do, and that's going to be a caution on Dusty right here, caution on Red because he just jumped. Another thing you don't want to do as an official is to find yourself chasing the action. Now, that action took off from the center, and I wasn't ready. These guys go out of bounds, and I've got to chase the action. Don't let that happen to you. Here's where you need to be and how you need to officiate when you start the match. You need to be ready to move. Come on in, guys. You need to be back here in the line. When that action starts moving over towards the line, you need to be right here, ready to go, right here. I'm right on that line. They're out of bounds in neutral. I've already talked a little bit about this, but we're going to do this again. Action is going to start here and it's going to move to the edge. And as the official, I want you to know exactly where you're going and how you're going to position yourself when they get to that edge. Ready, gentlemen? I've moved back to the line. Action is going to the edge, and I've already shown this. I'm perpendicular to them. I'm staying over here. As they move to that outside line, towards the outside edge, I'm going to be ready for them to go out of bounds. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about positioning, and I've already talked about staying perpendicular to the wrestlers. We're going to demonstrate that again, and then how you move to that outside line, and then how you move and position yourself when we're going out of bounds. Gentlemen, ready? I'm going to stay out here, stay perpendicular to them so I can see the action. I've moved to this outside line, and then I want to be here so when they move to that edge and they're to go out of bounds, I'm right here. They're neutral. I'm right there to know exactly when they go out of bounds, and there's no question I wasn't chasing the action. When their action moved to the edge, I was moving in the line and met them right there. Another part of your officiating that you as the official are going to have to make this determination. I personally have, and I want to show you this action on what should I do when the wrestlers take action to the edge of the mat. Ready, gentlemen? They're wrestling here. I'm staying perpendicular. I'm going out to the line. I'm going to meet them when they go out of bounds. The question is, do I stay here or do I come out here to catch those wrestlers when they're going out of bounds? A long time ago, when I first started officiating, I caught those wrestlers as they went out of bounds. I made a conscious decision many years ago that I would no longer do that. The reason is was I was moving out to catch those wrestlers, I was putting myself out of position. Some of the times, points would be scored, supporting points would be inbound. I'd miss the call. I'd miss points. And actually, it was penalizing the wrestlers for me trying to catch them. The bottom line is this: those wrestlers know where they're at. They know where that hardwood floor is there outside the mat. I don't need to catch them. They know how to protect themselves. I want to give you an example. My son was in the Navy, made 3 tours to the Middle East. They used to play games on the aircraft carrier when they were bored. One of the things that he said was that nobody ever goes out of bounds. They all know where the out of bounds line is. That's the same with these wrestlers. They know where that out of bounds line is. If they want to stay in bounds, they will stay in bounds. The next thing that I want to do is talk about the positioning of the official when we're starting these young men in the offensive and defensive position. First thing that you want to do, and I'm going to assume that this is in a tournament competition. Carter's going to be the red wrestler. Nick is going to be the green wrestler. I'm going to flip my disc, but what I want it to do is to fall unimpeded to the mat. So when I flip it, it should drop all the way to the mat. It's going to be green. Green has their choice. You want to up, down, neutral, or defer. You want to go down, signal to the table. Green chooses down. Green chooses down. That's what we want to demonstrate clearly to the table, and whenever you make a signal to the table, make sure that everyone in the stands and the coaches know exactly what you're communicating. This year there's a new rule, and I'm going to demonstrate it this first time. I'm not going to do it again just for the sake of time, but I want to demonstrate how you are to get these wrestlers set before we actually start the match. I'm going to move out. I'm going to tell the bottom wrestler, you're set. Top man cover. You're set. That is the sequence that you want to go through. Bottom man set, cover top man, you're set top man, and then start the match. I want to emphasize again, when you start this match and you're going to flip to see who gets their choice, do not do this. That is incorrect. That's just lazy on the part of the official to do that. I cannot recommend enough that you let that flip disc fall all the way to the mat. Now, before I start them, I want to talk to you as officials on where you have your hand. Let's say that I just chased these guys around the mat for about 2 minutes while somebody was on their back or on their feet and they were going all over the mat, and I'm up here sucking air really hard, and my hand is going like this, and they're watching my hand, and they have a false start. That false start is my fault. I want to encourage you as officials to get out here so I have a good view of what's going on behind here. I want to make sure the foot placement is correct. And when I get here, I have done this for years. I have steadied my hands by doing this. Right here. That keeps my hands steady. If they're focusing on my hands to start that match, my hands are down here, not up here where it's shaking around, so that I don't cause that false start. Now we're going to continue with another series on just where you want to be as the official when they're in the offensive and defensive position. And so these wrestlers are going to be wrestling here in the mat, and action is going to continue, but I want to show you where I'm going to be at. So Nick, I want you to go down again. Bottom wrestler set, cover top man. Top man, you're set. The wrestling action is here, and just like in the neutral position, I want to be out here in the line following action. I want to be far enough away that I can see action here. I want to show you what happens if I get too close. Go back down to the mat. I'm right here, and I'm sitting here running in a circle, and I can't. If I get too close, I'm just running in circles. I can't even see what's going on underneath these guys. And we're going to start them again. And you're set, bottom man, cover top man. You're set, top man. If I stay out here, I'm relaxed. If I'm in too close, I'm running in circles. I can't see what's going on below. If there's locked hands, I can't see that locked hands if I'm in too close because it's down below me, right here. What I need to do is I need to move out here in the line. I'm much more relaxed. If I see locked hands, it's a technical violation, locked hands, as soon as I see it. But when I'm in close and I'm running around, there could be a whole series of locked hands, and I've missed them all. Remember, all those fans up there in the arena, they're watching these two wrestlers. They're not watching you. I want to tell you a story about a good friend of mine. He's now a retired official. He's one of the funniest men I've ever met in my life. He's a former roommate of John Madden's, believe it or not, in college. We were refereeing the Pac-10 finals live on ESPN. And Pat's out there, and he was so funny, he would do things. Live TV coverage, the fans are watching the action, and here's Mr. Lovell over on the side doing this. Doing his moonwalk around the outside circle. And then he'd have another thing he'd do, he'd go, this is my high-low. He'd go around the mat like this. The referees are watching him and they're dying laughing. We had tears running down our face. Nobody in the arena saw Pat Lovell doing the moonwalk and doing his patented high-low, as he would call it. Now we're going to talk about potentially dangerous hold, illegal holds, and how you want to be positioned to make sure that you can stop those situations. Even if you're working this outside line, you have to anticipate when those things are going to happen. So let's get the match started. You're set, bottom man. Cover, top man. You're set, top man. Okay, if I'm working on this outside edge and I see a situation like this where the top wrestler is driving to this far shoulder, this outside arm is trapped, I got to move in to stop so that I don't do damage to this shoulder. We want to make sure in the bar series, for example, that's coming straight across the back. But no matter what that potentially dangerous situation is, I've got to be ready to move from that line in here to stop the action. Using that same situation, we're going to look at an illegal chicken wing and see how you've got to move in to stop that. Bottom man, you're set. Top man, cover. You're set, top man. Action begins. I move to the outside edge. Action, he's driving this. He's coming up to drive that shoulder parallel with the body. I've got to be ready to move right in and stop action so no damage is done to his shoulder. I want to show you another situation of that exact thing where we have a potentially dangerous or possibly even an illegal hold in a little different situation. We used the chicken wing before. I'm going to show you a different one. Come on, bottom man, you're set. Top man, cover. You're set, top man. Actions continue. I'm on the outside edge. The legs go in, and so far it's okay. He's taking him to his back. Come back over again. In this, now he's going to put it in again. He's going to hook that arm. I have to be ready. So if this arm comes forward, we need to turn, guys. Turn it around. I have to be ready if this action comes forward to stop it. If this arm comes forward. The first time that Jerry did it, he took the arm and they went over perpendicular to the body. The second time, I had to be ready to move in so I can stop action to prevent damage to his shoulder when it's coming forward. The next part of the officiating and anticipating what's going to happen, and I'm going to have Dusty take Jerry down to his back from his feet. So go ahead and just start, gentlemen. Dusty's taking him down to his back. I need to be ready to be right here. Now, one of the important things that I need to do right here is I need to be down on this mat. I hope that I never see an official standing up here going 1001, 1002, 1003. If this wrestler has worked hard enough to get this guy down on his back, you should be down here looking at this to make sure you have met the criteria that's there and now counting it. If you're standing up there, or if you're not ready to move to this direction when that wrestler comes to the mat, you're out of position, and the coach and all the fans will think that you're guessing at this call. Don't let yourself get caught out of position or standing up. Okay, come on up, gentlemen. I want you to be ready for something else and anticipating action. And I'm going to start them from their feet to demonstrate this one. So gentlemen, ready? Action is going to the edge. I have moved over here. When these guys get to the edge, stop right here. What I want all officials to be ready to do is when they get here, know that that line is there. And what do I have to anticipate? Am I ready for red to take a shot? Am I ready for white to bail? I've got to be ready to know what I'm doing, and I need to keep my distance here on this line so I can see all of that action take place. Okay, continue, gentlemen. Now, that was in slow motion, but I need to be right here, and I need to be ready to make a call. If it's a split-second decision and they go out of bounds, I need to be ready to stop action and blow them out of bounds, or to go up with my 2 if his feet or supporting points are in bounds. We're going to demonstrate action, anticipating action, going to the edge, and picturing that shot on the out-of-bounds line. Ready, gentlemen? I'm moving out to the outside edge. I'm out here. I'm moving to the edge right here. 2 green! What I wanted to demonstrate there is when I get here and I'm on this line, that action takes place. I have now pictured in my mind, supporting points are in, this gentleman is out, and I can score my 2 green and out of bounds. One of the last things that I want to make sure that you work through is in this wrestling area. This wrestling area, whatever it is, out to the benches, if there's a tournament and there's coaches' chairs, it's your responsibility to make sure that that area is safe. If you see a training kit sitting over next to the coach's chair that these wrestlers can go out and fall on, you need to get that out of the way. If you see a warm-up that's laying there that they can step on and slip on as action's taking place while one wrestler's still in bounds, you need to get that out of there. If the cheerleaders are right on the edge of the mat and they're pounding on the mat and doing all kinds of things and the wrestlers can go out and fall on top of them, you need to move them back out of the way. That wrestling area is your area. You keep it safe. The next thing I want to cover is just, as an official, you need to make sure, as I mentioned earlier, that not only that the scoring table knows what's going on, but those coaches know what is going on, as well as all the fans in the gymnasium. They all need to know what you're signaling. Therefore, when you score points on the mat, and I'm going to pretend that the mat table is right over, the scoring table is right over there. When you go up with your points and action takes place, you go up with your points straight above your head. Hands straight up over your head. Don't do this. 2. 1. Points go up over your head. Call it out. 2, takedown, green. And then you don't have to look at the table. They're already looking at you. You don't need to look at them. Show them. Keep your eyes on the action. Rotate your hand 3 to 4 seconds slightly so the table can see if you got 2 up or 3 up, and then bring them down. Be ready for the next call. Don't ever take your eyes off of those wrestlers while you're scoring points. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to talk about being ready to not only give the points and be patient in giving your points, but also being very, very verbal in giving your points. Ready, gentlemen? I got to be ready. He's going for takedown as soon as I know it's there. 2, green! Be very verbal. Now I need to be ready if they're going to their back. 1. He comes out of it. 1. He comes back out of it. 1, 2, 3. The reason I wanted to demonstrate that is, how often have you seen a coach get upset with you because you're down counting back points and he sees that only? He has no verbal to back up that up. He saw 2 counts, and just like the young men demonstrated, I had a 1 and a 1. I didn't have 2 counts on the back. I only had 1 count 2 times. The reason I want to stress calling the points out verbally so much is not only does it demonstrate to the coaches and the fans that you've actually scored those points, but the other thing is it's a confidence booster for you. That verbal confirmation to yourself that I made that call right, and it helps you sell that call, especially a judgment call. It might be a call on the edge, it might be close back points in the mat in the down position, but when you verbally sell it, everybody in the arena, including the coaches and the wrestlers, will know that you are convinced, that you convinced yourself that you saw points there. I can't stress enough how important a verbal backup is to your visual call. These are my must-do things. There's a few things that you must do other than just hustle, hustle, hustle. These are some must-do things that you have to do. Gentlemen, ready? When the action goes over here to the edge of the mat, I'm out on the line. I'm waiting for the action to go out. I'm ready. They're out of bounds. I'm going to hustle back. I want to be the first one back to the center of the mat. I'm going to beat them here, and I'm going to stare them all the way back. I'm never going to take my eyes off them, and I'm going to be ready to start. Now, why do I want to do that? If I beat them back and one of these guys is straggling from the out of bounds, it is very, very evident that I'm here waiting for them. Let's start it again, gentlemen. And I'm going to have Jerry just straggle back. Ready? I'm over here on the edge. I'm waiting for him to go to the bounds. I'm ready for some action. Now, if I'm here and I don't hustle back to the edge of the mat and I'm waiting for him, and if I escort him back, Jerry, take your time. If I'm going to escort Jerry back here, it's like I'm herding sheep. I'm driving him back to the center of the mat. Everybody's waiting for me to get back to the start of the match. I'm the one holding up the bout. I've got to herd Jerry back to the center. They're waiting for me to start this match. But if we do it the other way, I want you to show see the difference in how we just did these two scenes. Ready, gentlemen? I move out to the edge. Action goes to the line. I'm ready. Out of bounds. I'm moving back. I'm here. Jerry's for sure the last one back again. So when that continues to do that, and time after time, I now have demonstrated to everyone, including his coach and to Jerry, that he is the one holding up the start of the match again. Just as important as it is to stare those wrestlers back to the center and make sure that I beat them here and I keep my eyes fixed on them all the time, it's just as important never to look at the coach. I made it a practice in about halfway through my officiating career never to look at coaches. I don't know what I'm expecting to do if I do look at them. Are they going to say, "Good job, referee"? Are they going to say, "Give me that thumbs up look"? Or are they going to go, "Pfft"? I'm not looking for them for information or any confirmation of my call or for advice. Therefore, there was no reason for me to look at the coach. Make it a point to keep your eyes locked on the wrestlers, never look at the coach. The other thing that's really important to do while you're doing a tournament, for example, a tournament lasts all day long. You start in the morning, you're fresh as can be. It's the early rounds of the tournament. There's nothing really at stake. But the thing that you need to do throughout the day of a tournament is to stay focused, because the deeper you get into that tournament, the tighter the matches get. One of the things that happens is you get tired, you're not able to focus, and those wrestle back rounds get tougher and tougher. And then you get to the finals where you're the most tired at the end of the day, and you're supposed to be, for sure, at your perfection level. You need to stay focused. One of the things that I make sure that I do that I can help myself with is to make sure I have a water bottle with me. Believe it or not, you perspire a lot, you just dehydrate yourself all day long. It is extremely important that you stay hydrated through a tournament. Drink all day long. And it helped me to stay much more focused as I got into those late rounds in that tournament. I want to demonstrate one more thing about being verbal. On my must-do list, I had several things: the staying focused, keeping my eyes locked in those wrestlers, never looking at the coaches. But the verbal part, and I'm going to bring a couple of wrestlers back out here to demonstrate how important it is to be verbal. So I'm going to have these guys go through a series of moves, and we'll just show how we can demonstrate that verbal backup of everything that I'm doing. Ready, gentlemen? There's a takedown. He's going for a takedown. 2 red, takedown. 2 green, reversal. Green, reversal. 1 escape, red, you're neutral. 2 green, takedown. 2 red, reversal. That's what I'm meaning by not just showing the points, but backing up verbally, because it's a confidence booster. You're letting everybody know what you called, but also you may be instructing someone in the stands that knows nothing about wrestling. If you've had the opportunity to follow along on my outline, you'll see that I have a must-do list, and that I've been talking about that some, but there's a couple of must-do things, and I just want to stress these again, how important it is, and that is to stay focused on those wrestlers. Just make sure that you always beat those wrestlers back to the center of the mat when they're coming in.
Up your feet, gentlemen. Stay up late.
And I want also to make sure that you stare those guys back to the center. Don't ever take your eyes off of those wrestlers unless there's a complete break in the action where you have to go to the table. The other thing is I want to make sure that you never look at that coach. There's just no benefit in looking at that coach unless he wants to talk to you. And if he does want to talk to you, he needs to take you over to the table if he wants to talk to you. Back up every single call verbally. Sell your call and make sure that everybody in that arena knows that you believe in your call. Call it with confidence.
1, 2.
Then there's one last thing. If you're communicating with those wrestlers out there in the mat, make sure that that coach knows what you're saying to them. The last thing that you want to be doing is coaching his kids without him knowing about it. So if you're telling that wrestler not to grab fingers, just grabbing 3 fingers, or he's grabbing 2 and he's pulling them back, if you're going to tell him, watch the fingers, make sure that that coach knows what you're telling him. If he gets his hand caught up in the clothes and you don't know if he's actually grabbing him, if you're saying, don't be grabbing the clothes, that coach knows what you're talking to him about, because there's nothing worse that you could be doing than telling that coach's wrestler how he should be wrestling. And then one other thing that you need to do when you're out there in the mat, people love wrestling because there's lots of action, and one of the highlights of wrestling is when you get a fall. So when you're going to call a fall, make sure you slap the mat. Don't just blow your whistle and throw your hand up like this. Get down there and smash the mat. Make sure that they know that a fall occurred, because that's when fans erupt and there's a roar that makes it exciting. When you think about high school sports, think about football, basketball, track, a swimming meet, none of those sports raise the hand of the champion. Wrestling is the only sport where the guy that wins the match gets to go out in the center and get his hand raised, and he is acknowledged to the crowd that he has just won. It's a very amazing moment for most wrestlers. In my wrestling officiating career, I had the opportunity to referee the match of, to this date, probably the most famous wrestler of all time. That was Cael Sanderson. I got to do his last match. The amazing thing about Cael is he never lost a collegiate match. And when I raised his hand, it was an amazing moment, and it lasted for minutes, where the crowd stood, applauded him, and he acknowledged the crowd with his hands held high as the winner and the champion. What an amazing moment for me to experience along with Cael. But there's one other thing that I want you to know why this is such an important thing in wrestling. That same year, I had the opportunity to ref another match. It was a high school match. There was a couple of young men. It was in 2001, the same year that Cael Sanderson won his 4th NCAA title. There was a couple of young wrestlers that this young man here only won 1 match. If you notice the striking resemblance between Cael Sanderson and that young man, they're almost identical. Both of them were champions for the moment. Even though he experienced it many times, this was his moment to be a champion for that moment. Don't ever forget to do your part in raising the hand of the champion. I want to tell you a couple of stories about champions in my life. One of those champions is my wife. She's the greatest champion that I know. She's a breast cancer survivor. When she was only 39 years old with 3 young children, she underwent several surgeries, chemotherapy, and radiation. And she fought and struggled greater than any wrestler has ever had to struggle. She is the greatest champion of my life. I already mentioned about my son, who went to the Middle East on 3 different tours as a combat search and air rescue swimmer. He's a champion in my life. There are many other people in our community and in our schools, You might have kids in your schools that are fighting something, a disease, maybe a handicap of some kind. Recognize those people as champions because they fight with that daily, and that they need to be recognized for the competition that they have for that day and for that week and for that month. I want to share another story. This is a story about a young lady. She was 16 years old. She was in Iowa. I had the opportunity to share my ideas of those champions that I felt should be recognized. Small town in rural Iowa, a young girl had leukemia. She has spent most of her time in the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. She was home for a period of time, and at a wrestling match, they brought her out in the center of the mat. They raised her hand as a champion. She was recognized as being a fighter and a champion. And she passed away several months later. She's a champion. Stories like that in our lives are happening all around us week after week. We need to make sure that we find those people. It might be the janitor in your school. It might be someone you know at work. But it's someone that you could take to a special event and raise their hand as a champion. Colorado Wrestling Officials Association is taking that step this year. We're going to go out and we're going to find those people around us in our wrestling community that deserve to be recognized for being champions, and they may have never stepped foot on a wrestling mat. And we're going to recognize them as champions. I challenge you to go find those people. Find out who they are, who have put up a struggle much greater than a wrestling match, and recognize them as champions in their community. We have a young man in our wrestling family in Colorado. His name's Brett Pridham. Wrestling official, injured in a very serious car accident, will never walk again. Just happened this last year. He has a daily struggle, a daily challenge, and he is a champion. And he is one that will get recognized by the Colorado Wrestling Officials Association this year. You find that champion in your community, you find that champion in your school, and you recognize them as a champion by raising their hand.